So let me do a quick revision on this. So welcome to AWS Solution Architect, all of you. So for recording, for notes, you can access the LMS graphic. It will be provided to you there. Good morning, Philip. Good morning, Shaiju. So yesterday we did what is cloud computing. Welcome, Philip, to my class. So my name is Nikat Nadhansari, AWS authorized instructor. And I started this course yesterday. So just a quick revision of the topics that we have covered yesterday. So what is this cloud computing? So if you order pizza from any food delivery app, so what you are doing, you are demanding for it. You are placing the order, you are demanding for it. And you are getting it delivered at your place. And you are using internet for that because you are using application on your phone or on your laptop. So you are using internet for that. And you are paying only for the order that you are placing. If you are placing the order for pizza, then you are only paying for that. So whatever you are consuming or you are about to consume, you have to pay for that. So cloud computing is similar to that only. It is the on-demand delivery. So you demand it, you provision the resources, and these resources are getting delivered to you within minutes. And what IT resources you have? The compute power. You can have computers, you can have servers delivered to you in the virtual form. Database, storage, other applications, networking equipments, etc., etc. And pay-as-you-go model is there. So what is this pay-as-you-go model? You don't purchase the resource, you take the resource on rent. So when you are taking the resource on rent, what do you do? Suppose if you are actually paying for storage and you are using 100 GB and you are using it for 2 days. And after 2 days, what you are doing, you are just deleting the data here and you are freeing this 100 GB. So you have to pay only for 2 days because after 2 days, you are giving this space back to AWS. You are returning this space. So here, everything you are getting in the form of software. You don't purchase the resource. Hardware is actually the hardware is owned by AWS or the cloud service provider, and we are getting these resources in the form of software. So what are the advantages of cloud computing? Trade capital expense for variable expense means you are not paying the resources. You are not purchasing the resources. You are not making any upfront payment. So no upfront payment here. You are not purchasing the resources. You are taking the resources on rent. Thus, what you are doing, you are paying according to your consumption. So you are bearing with the variable expenses. So your expenses are not fixed. It is depending on your consumption. For how long you are using a resource. This is first advantages of cloud computing, and we have covered this yesterday. I'm just taking a quick recap. Second is economies of scale. So what is this economies of scale? AWS says, bring more customers to me, and I will reduce the price of the resources. If you're using more, you become the elite customer of AWS, and AWS will offer you discount. So more customers, more usage, reduction in price. That is the economies of scale. Then stop guessing capacity. So here you get the resources whenever you want. So if you are feeling hungry now, you can order one pizza. After 5 minutes, if you are feeling hungry, or after 10 minutes, or after consuming first pizza, you are still hungry, you can order another pizza. and you will be getting it instantly, means after some time you will be getting it. So here also you don't have to think of the capacity. You don't have to guess the capacity that you require 50 servers or you require 100 GB of space. No, you just use it. And if you are running out of this 100 GB, you need extra space. Suppose you need extra 50 GB, then you can provision extra 50 GB instantly. So that is known as elasticity. That is known as elasticity. Whenever you require this space, yes, Kabir, absolutely correct. So whenever you require the resources, you are getting it instantly. So you don't overestimate. So you provision this much, but you are using only the green part. So usage is this much. So wastage of the resource. So you are wasting this much resource. So this is overestimation. You require less, but you provision more. And here this is underestimation, that you provision this much, but you need still more. You need still more. So it is underestimation. Requirement is more and usage is less. You are provisioning less number of resources. So there is a problem with the hardware. So this problem is actually eliminated by software resources, because here you will be getting resources anytime from anywhere, from any location, but through the internet. So this is stop guessing capacity. Then cost optimization, that you are not running and maintaining your own data center, because running and maintaining data center, it is a very costly affair. You have to arrange for the facility, you have to arrange for this, you have to arrange for the hardware, all the devices, including servers, routers, then storage servers, DBMS licenses. Then you have to hire the staff for maintenance of your data center, network administrator, server administrator, and so and so. So you don't have to run and maintain your own data center. But what you do, you just use the facility which is provided by AWS only. So what you do, you just use the data center, the hardwares of AWS. So don't waste time and money on running and maintaining data center. Instead, experiment and innovate. Focus on your application. You don't have to worry about the arrangement of the resource, because resources are provided to you by AWS. So you think on how to utilize those resources, how to experiment, and how to innovate. Next, increased speed and agility. You are getting the resources delivered to you within minutes. You don't have to wait for the resources. So if you want additional server, you don't have to wait for the hardware to get delivered to you. No. So hardware procurement cycle is more, it is longer than software. So software, you are getting it instantly within minutes. So that is increased speed and agility. And the last one is going global in minute. And yesterday I have shown you how to go global in minutes. You can connect to different parts of the world very quickly. Within minutes, you can switch the region. So if you want to connect to North Virginia data center, if you want to connect to Sydney data center, London data center, Ohio, Oregon, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Singapore, so you can connect to any of the data center around the world within minutes. So that is going global in minute, and you can deliver your resources to the global customers. So this is the, you can say, a quick recap of yesterday, and I have discussed with all of you how to create a free tier account. Yes, absolutely, Kabir. So any problem to anyone till here? Till here, any problem to anyone? This is a recap of the topics that we have covered yesterday. And I believe all of you have the AWS free tier account. So please, those who don't have the free tier account, please create it. Please create the free tier account. Today's agenda, I will be taking the cloud deployment model. So cloud deployment model in today's agenda. Second is AWS service model or cloud service model. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. And then I will be moving on to EC2, my first service, Elastic Compute Cloud, which is providing you virtual servers. And we will be provisioning servers in our account. So this will be practical session rather than a theoretical one. I hope the agenda is clear to everyone. So first topic is cloud deployment model, then cloud service model, and then the first service of our AWS cloud, EC2, how to provision a virtual server, how to use it, how to connect with it. Is the agenda clear to everyone? So cloud deployment models means if you want to deploy your applications, then how you can deploy your applications. So you have three deployment models: public cloud or simply cloud, private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. So what do you understand by cloud or the public cloud? So your application, let me take the example of Netflix. So Netflix is born and it is deployed in AWS cloud. It is working in AWS and it is delivering content to global users with a reduced latency. So Netflix is developed, it is tested, and it is deployed entirely on AWS cloud. And you are connecting with Netflix through internet, through the application that is there on your mobile phone. So this is your first model where you are deploying your resources on cloud and you are accessing the application from there. Then we have the private cloud, or we can say on-premises. So it is also known as on-premises. So on-premises means that you have your own data center. And when you have your own data center, you are the owner. So what you have? You have the complete control on it. Yes or no? When you are the owner of any item, any commodity, anything, then you have the complete control on that. So just a quick question. Can you have virtualization? Can you use virtual machines here in your own data center? Yes, I'm getting the answer. So who is responsible for this virtualization? Who is managing this virtualization? When you have your own data center, then who is responsible for this virtualization? Answer is absolutely correct. You can run virtual machines in your own data center. Yes, Pankaj. So it is the owner. It is the responsibility of the owner of the data center to manage virtualization. Everything which has happened in the data center, it is the responsibility of the owner to manage each and everything. So if suppose you have a company regulation, data governance, data regulation, that your data cannot leave your premises, cannot leave your office, you cannot place the data on cloud. So data is very confidential. You cannot take the risk of uploading data on cloud. So what you are doing, you are using your own data center to store your data, to save your data here. And you are managing it yourself. So this is your on-premises data center, or it is known as private cloud, where you are managing each and everything. Yes, Nafis, it is private cloud. Then hybrid cloud, it is the mix of two. When you are using both, you are using cloud plus you are using your own data center, your on-premises data center. So can anyone give me a use case why you are using both? Thank you, Kabir, for the example. So can anyone tell me one of the use case why we have to use both? Why we are using both cloud and on-premises? One of the use case. So usage of cloud and on-premises server services. Okay, Nafis. Anyone? Anand, can I get the answer from you? Babita, if you have any thought on this. So don't think that your answer might be wrong. Whatever you are thinking, whatever your thoughts are, you can just Put it in the chat box. So let me just give you a simple example. So let me take the example of a college. So is college disclosing the personal info of students? Or is college making the salary of the employee, salary of the faculty public? What kind of data is this? Yes, Nafis. So what kind of data is this? Personal information of the student and the salary of the employees of faculty. So is this confidential data or this data can be made public? So it is a private data, Philip. Yes, absolutely correct. So this is private data and this is confidential data, and you have your institute policy that you cannot make this data public or you cannot upload this data on cloud. You have to keep this data in your server room or in your own data center. But for example, result of the candidates, it is published over the internet because a lot of students are actually accessing the result. So there is a need of lot of resources for that short period of time. So instead of purchasing the servers to manage the request of lot of student, so what you are doing, rather than purchasing the resources, adding the resources to your on-premises, you are taking the resources on rent from cloud for short period of time when you are declaring the result. So in this use case, you are using both on-premises and cloud. You are having your existing data center, but you don't want to purchase extra resources for a short period of time. So you are taking the extra resources on rent from cloud, just saving your cost. I hope the use case is clear to everyone. Is the use case of hybrid cloud clear to everyone? Any problem in cloud deployment model, public, hybrid, and private cloud? Shall I move ahead? Okay. Then you have cloud service model. So cloud service model, that how you are using cloud services. So you have various model depending upon the control of the customer, that how much control a customer has on the resources which is provided to us by cloud. So we have the first model as infrastructure as a service. Second is platform as a service. Third one is software as a service. Now let me just explain you this topic with the help of a simple example. So when I talk about infrastructure as a service, suppose you have to bake a pizza. So you have your own kitchen, right? Or suppose you are using the kitchen of a restaurant. You are saying that please give me your kitchen. So everything, kitchen is provided to you by the restaurant people, but you are bringing your own dough. You are bringing your own toppings, your sauces. So everything is belonging to the customer, except for the kitchen. You are bringing your own oven. So everything is belonging to the customer except for the kitchen. So you are using only the infrastructure, but every rest of the thing is belonging to the customer. When dough is belonging to the customer, topping is belonging to the customer. So who is having the complete control on baking the pizza? So when you are bringing your own resources, so you can add as much topping as you want. You can add as much layer as you want, right? So it is the customer. The customer has the complete control. Similarly, in cloud service model, if you are talking about infrastructure as service, so you are getting a virtual server, for example. So infrastructure, what is the infrastructure? You are having network, you are having route table, internet gateway. So you are using the infrastructure where you are deploying your resources. So for example, you have your virtual machine, and virtual machine in AWS is known as an EC2 instance. So you have a virtual machine, and machine is coming under infrastructure. And now when you are getting it, you have the complete control on this. So when you connect, you can install any of the software, you can run any of the application on it. You want to perform any computation, this is your choice, that what you do after connecting to your virtual machine. You are getting only the infrastructure from cloud, but what work is to be done on this is under the control of the customer. Customer manages everything inside this virtual machine. So you are taking a house on rent or a flat on rent. So you are using only the infrastructure. Now, for the time you are paying the rent, you are the owner of this house. You can do anything you want in this. You have the complete control on the house for the duration of time. You are paying for it. So this is infrastructure as service. Customer has complete control over the software part. Hardware part is controlled by the cloud service provider. Because if I talk about hardware, so hardware data center is actually owned by AWS. So hardware part is managed by AWS, but software part, customer is having the complete control. So if you are talking about kitchen, so kitchen is belonging to the restaurant people. So restaurant is having the ownership on this kitchen. So kitchen is managed by the restaurant people, but whatever things you are bringing with you, so you have the complete control on this. So this is infrastructure as service. I hope this is clear to everyone. And in AWS, infrastructure as a service is provided to you by EC2. I will be discussing about this EC2 in detail in second half of my session today only. Is this clear? What is infrastructure as service? Now, platform as a service. In platform as a service, what you are doing, you are asking kitchen, so you are getting infrastructure from the cloud. Plus, you are asking for the platform. Platform is the oven or the utensils or the cutlery. So you are asking for these things from the restaurant people, and you are bringing only your dough and topping and sauces. Now, what is the end product of this? It will be a pizza. It will be your application. Now, user has the complete control on the application because you are bringing your own dough, your toppings, your sauces. But oven, kitchen, your infrastructure, your utensils. So oven is a platform where you will be baking the pizza. So it is belonging to the restaurant people. So restaurant people is having the complete control on platform plus the infrastructure, on oven as well as on the infrastructure. But since all these things, dough, topping, sauces are belonging to the customer, so now customer has the control on the application, on the end product. But customer is using the platform and the infrastructure of the restaurant to bake his pizza. So example is Elastic Beanstalk or Heroku. So with AWS, it is Elastic Beanstalk. So what you have in Elastic Beanstalk, it is providing you the environment. So what is this platform? Basically, platform is the environment. So it is providing you with IDE, Integrated Development Environment, to develop your own application. So it is supporting various programming languages. So you can develop your web application, you can test it, and you can deploy it easily because it is giving you the platform, the complete platform, the environment to develop your application, test it, and deploy it very easily, very conveniently. So this is known as platform as a service. So now application belongs to the customer. Customer has the complete control on the application, but the environment is belonging to AWS. So AWS is having complete control on the environment. Any problem with platform as a service? So you are getting the IDE, you are getting the debugger, you are getting the deployment services from cloud. So you are deploying your application with the help of the resources AWS is providing to you. So you are the owner of the application, not the other things. IDE is integrated development environment. So have you ever worked on Visual Studio? So have you ever worked on Visual Studio? So let me just show you what an IDE is. So Nafis, in this, it is the IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Why? Because it is giving you the text editor to write your code. It is giving you a command line argument or the standard input that how you can provide your input, right? It is giving you the input console and it is giving you the output as well. So when I run this program, it is giving you the runtime. So when I run this program, you are getting output here. So you are getting output console, you are getting a text editor, you are getting a runtime of Python, you are getting a debugger to debug your code, right? So this is your IDE where you are getting the complete environment to write an application and test it. And in AWS Beanstalk, you are getting deployment option as well. That is the platform for your application. So that is known as platform as a service. I hope Nafis and Sagar, this is clear. And software as a service, you are simply using it. So if I talk about Google Docs, can you change the fonts? Can you just, suppose if you have the font style, so you have a list of the font style. Can you say that I don't like the font style in your list? I want to add a new font style of mine. Can you say this? Can you say this? Can you use a new font style of your that which is not included in the list of Google? You want to add a new font style to the list. Can you do this? So Nafis, you cannot do that. You can only select the font style which is provided to you by Google. You cannot customize it. You cannot add a new font style of your choice. So you have to simply use the service. So for example, Gmail, you are simply using it. You cannot make any changes in it. So it is software as a service where the application of Gmail plus everything is belonging to the cloud. You are simply using it. So here, if I take the example of the pizza, if you are asking for the pizza, which is actually prepared by Domino's, and you are getting it delivered at your place. So now Domino's is preparing the pizza. Domino's is using their own dough, their own sauces, toppings, right? And then they are all using their oven, that is the platform. They are using their kitchen and cutlery utensils, that is their infrastructure. So everything is belonging to the Domino's. You are simply using the end product. So that is software as a service. Any problem to anyone in this? So let us compare all these three service model. So when you deploy your resources in your on-premises data center, so this is your on-premises data center. This is your infrastructure as service. This is your platform as a service, and this is your software as a service. So when you are running your application on your data center, then The hardware part, the networking equipment, the storage, and the server. Hardware part is also managed by you because you are the owner. The customer is the owner. Virtualization is also managed by the customer. And software part and data and application, it is all belonging to the customer. So you manage. So blue color means you manage. So you as the customer are managing everything because now you are the owner. If I talk about infrastructure as a service, yes, absolutely correct, Philip. So infrastructure as service. So what you are having here, so the hardware part is belonging to the service provider. So infrastructure is belonging to the service provider. So AWS is controlling till the virtualization layer. And above the virtualization layer, above the hypervisor, it is controlled by the customer. So customer has the complete control on the operating system of your virtual machine. Any middleware you are installing on your virtual machine. So runtime. So for example, you are installing Apache server to host your website. You are installing Python to run your Python program, right? Or PHP to host your PHP application. Then data and application. Everything is controlled by customer above the hypervisor layer, above the virtualization layer. Because in cloud, you are getting everything in the form of software in virtual form. Now, platform as a service. So platform means the runtime. Platform means the area on which you can deploy your resources. So infrastructure plus the platform is managed by AWS. So AWS is offering you a virtual machine on which you can host your application. So everything is managed by AWS. So infrastructure till the virtualization layer, and from OS to runtime, this is your platform. You are the owner of your application. You are the owner of the data. But if you are using software as service, so for example, if I'm taking the example of Amazon Chime, so it is like the WhatsApp of Amazon. You can send message. It is like the Zoom version of Amazon. You can have a video call. You can send messages. You can chat with your friend. So infrastructure is provided by AWS, the hardware part. Platform is provided to you by AWS. And application is also belonging to AWS. You are simply using it. You don't have any control on the entire application because each and everything is provided to you by AWS, by Amazon. So if you're using software as service, you don't have any control on it. You just use it. Because application is also belonging to AWS, you are simply using it. Is the distinction between infrastructure as service, platform as service, software as service clear to everyone? So in which service model or in which type of deployment you have to do the maximum work? You as a customer is doing maximum work in which deployment, for which service model? So you have the maximum work when you are deploying your resources on on-premises. You have to control each and everything from hardware to platform to data because you are the owner now. And with cloud service model, if you're using cloud resources, then you have the maximum control on infrastructure as service. So this is providing you maximum control on the resources and least control you are having on software as service. But what about use means flexibility to use these resources, convenience of using these resources. So which resources you can use conveniently? Infrastructure, platform, or software, where you don't have to manage anything. Yes, Philip, Sareen, Babita, absolutely correct. So you can use software as service conveniently, where you don't have to manage anything. So flexibility to use the resource is maximum with software as service, but the control and the management part is maximum with infrastructure as service if I'm talking about cloud only, the public cloud. And if it is your private cloud, then you have to manage everything. So that is the end of the topic number 1. We talked about cloud deployment model, public, private, and hybrid. And we talked about cloud service model, infrastructure as service, platform as service, and software as service. I give you simple examples. I gave you the example of preparing a pizza, baking a pizza. Can you relate the topic with the example? Yes, Nafis. Actually, most of the service providers, they are doing what? They are providing you the, you can say, infrastructure. Platform are some of the services that are provided by AWS, but major part is actually infrastructure as service and software as service. So platform is when you are using the application. So platform is when you are using the platform to develop any other application. So this marks the end of our first module, the introduction, the overview. So cloud computing, advantages of AWS, service overview, global infrastructure. So this is the service overview and the free tier account. So only one topic is left in this AWS overview, that is global infrastructure. Yes, most of the organization are using infrastructure as service. Shall I start with global infrastructure? That how AWS is managing its services across globe. So what do you mean by global infrastructure? What do you mean by global infrastructure? Now till here, any problem to anyone, any query, any question that you have in mind? Yes, Nafis? From anywhere, from any time, we can use absolutely correct, Shaiju. Yes, Anand. So this is the map of AWS global infrastructure, where AWS is actually running its services, where AWS is doing its business. AWS is setting up its data centers in different locations all around world, and how the customers are using these resources. How the resources are delivered to the users at any location from anywhere, but with the internet. So we all cover this thing in global infrastructure. So the global infrastructure is actually how AWS is providing the services to other users, how AWS is running its data center in different locations globally. So you can see that AWS has many data centers running in US region. In India, we have two regions where AWS is running its data center, Mumbai and Hyderabad. We have data centers running in Europe, Australia, South America. So we have different locations all around the world where AWS is running its data center. So a quick question to all of you. Suppose if you want to open a restaurant, and before opening a restaurant, you are planning, you are taking the survey, you want to select a land, right? Where you want to select a location where you will be opening your restaurant. Now, what will be the factors that you will keep in mind while selecting a location? Yes, while selecting a location, what are the things that you will keep in mind? Yes, crowd, how busy it is. Yes, schools and colleges, demographic, yes. So I will check about the population of that location. I'll be checking about the living standards of that people, where the people of that location, will they be able to afford the uh, food items at my restaurant? So I will be keeping all these factors in mind. Similarly, when AWS is setting up its data center, it is also selecting some of the physical location depending on various factors. And these physical locations we call as region. And it is considered, it is a geographical area, physical location where AWS is setting up its data center. Where AWS is setting up the data center. And currently, we have 31 regions in AWS, which are active, and many are coming soon. Many are coming soon. So we have 31 regions which are active, and you can use these 31 regions to just connect to any of the data center running here. So we have North Virginia region in US, you have Oregon region in US, then London region, Ohio, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Singapore, Sydney. So there is a long list. There is a long list. So 31 active regions currently. And many are coming up soon. So region is nothing but a geographical location which AWS has actually. Yes, Philip. So it is a geographical location where AWS has decided to set up their own data center. It is not based on IP address. So Philip, if you can wait, then I can just tell you how you can connect to the resources to these actually, right? So IP address is actually controlled by the customer. So you control your IP address, not AWS. So you have the complete control on selecting the IP address, that what CIDR you want. So region is like your house. So you can compare region as your home. So you have the complete control on this, right? Then how your home is divided. How your home is divided into multiple rooms. So region is your house, and your house is divided into multiple rooms. So why you have multiple rooms? Why you have multiple rooms in a house? Any idea? Yes, to use your region, to use your space in an effective manner. So you can use the entire space effectively. So one part you are uh, labeling it as kitchen, another part as bedroom, another part as drawing room, right? And if there are multiple rooms, then also your different family members can use it. So conveniently using a space, we are dividing it into subparts. And these division of your region is known as availability zones. And availability zone are actually responsible for the fault tolerant architecture. So what is this fault tolerant architecture? Let me just give me one answer. If you are you are storing your images in your phone, so you are clicking the pictures and you store your images in the phone. Do you rely only on your hardware, only on your phone, or you are storing your images at some different location? Maybe in your laptop or maybe on cloud storage, online storage. Are you using some other location to save your images? Are you taking the backup? So maximum of you are taking the backup, right? So why you are taking the backup? That in case if your hardware is crashing down, right? If something happens with your hardware, some problem is there, then you can still recover your images from the backup from different location. So your images are still here. So you can recover your images from here through this backup at different location, maybe online storage, maybe you are storing it in your laptop, in your external hard disk. So we have a failure here, but despite of this failure, we can access our images. Our data is still available to us. Why we are using different location? So this is the fault tolerant architecture. And for this, we are using availability zone only. So why we are having multiple availability zone? Because if I'm storing my data here, I am keeping a replica in different location inside the region. That if something happens with my availability zone, then I can still recover my data from replica, from the back. So for high availability, for fault tolerant architecture, for minimizing downtime of my application or my resources, I am using multiple availability zone. That is why we have multiple AZ in our region. These availability zones are working in isolation. That problem at one AZ is not affecting working of other locations, other availability zones. So these are working in isolation. So it is like you this is the bank, and in bank you have multiple bank accounts. But whatever transaction is taking place in my account, it is not affecting your account or other customer bank account. No, Anand, Mumbai and Hyderabad are region. So Mumbai region has 3 availability zones. And Hyderabad region is having another 3 availability zones. So Mumbai and Hyderabad are entirely region. They are complete region. And in these region, they are having separate availability zones. So 3 AZ in each. So these availability zone are working in isolation. Problem at one is not affecting the working at others. The distance between the availability zone is at least 100 kilometers. So these availability zones are separated by 100 kilometers distance, and these are connected with ultra speed, high speed, ultra low latency link, so that data can be replicated to another AZ. So they are connected with the high speed network. And you choose your own availability zone. Yes, Arina, I'm coming to that only. But I think Region and availability zone, it is making sense to all of you. Thanks for your response, Philip. Can I get the response from other candidates as well? Nafis, suppose if you are using one of the services, let me just give you a simple example. Some of the services for AWS are replicating your data automatically across AZ. So when you are replicating the data across multiple availability zone, right? So some of the services are doing it automatically. But if suppose you want to copy your data from Mumbai region and you want to make a copy in Hyderabad region, then it is done by the customer. It is not done by default. You control the replication of the data across region because it is more costly. But for some of the services, if you are using availability zone, multiple availability zone, then some of the services are automatically replicating your data across multiple AZ. Yes, Anand, you can choose. Any confusion, any doubt regarding availability zones? You can relate it to the real life example that you are using. You are not keeping your important files in your file or in your laptop. You are storing it online so that in case if you forget your laptop at home and you need your file in your office and or at some location where you are not carrying your laptop, you can still access it through any other device, but through the internet. You are keeping everything on your mail. Why? Because you can access that file on your mail from anywhere, from any location, from any device, but through the internet. So that is why we are using multiple AZ, multiple locations to keep our data, so that our data is highly available to us in case of failure as well. Now, what is there inside availability zones? So in availability zone, you have data centers. So region is your house. You can draw the analogy. And by this, you will never forget this concept. So region is your house. Your house has multiple rooms. So rooms are the availability zones. So rooms are your availability zones. Now, what is there in your room? You have furniture, you have cupboard, right? You have chair, table, etc., beds. Yes, Philip, absolutely. So in your room, you have furniture, you have cupboard, right? So let me take the example of cupboard where you are keeping your stuff, your almirah, and I call it as data center. So what is there inside availability zone? You run multiple data centers. So in one AZ, you run multiple data centers. So in one AZ, you run multiple data centers. So you can think of your cupboard, your stuff as your data centers, right? And what is there inside data center? Inside data center, you have servers. So inside data center, you have servers. So one data center can have 50,000 to 80,000 or more than this number. So these many servers are there in one data center. So data centers are huge. You have a lot of servers here. And what these servers are doing. So in your cupboard, you are keeping your stuff and you are using that stuff. You are using your clothes. You are using your documents, etc., etc. So the servers are actually providing you the AWS services, the web services. So this is how the services are reaching to the customer. They are running in a region, inside a region in availability zone. Inside availability zone, you have multiple data centers. And in the data center, you have multiple servers. And in the server, you actually on these servers, your applications are running. You are getting services which are running on these servers. So In AWS official documentation, Shaiju, minimum distance between data centers are not given. Only the minimum distance between AZ they have made public. But yes, the data centers are also working in isolation. That one data center is isolated with another data center, but the exact distance is not provided in AWS official documentation as well. Yes, one region, absolutely correct, Nafis. So suppose there are two regions, North Virginia and Mumbai, and latency is not my issue, and I am from India, and latency is not my issue. Means my application is not latency sensitive. I want to just minimize the cost. So which region you will choose, Mumbai or North Virginia? So I will be choosing North Virginia because North Virginia is offering services at less price as compared to Mumbai, right? And for example, if you have the Japan region, right? You are selecting a region in Japan, and Japan is more prone to earthquake, right? Natural disaster, tsunami, earthquake. So Japan is more prone to that. So, and here my data is, or my application is running in Japanese region. But still I want to make the copy of my data in some other region which is less prone to natural disaster. So this is another example, or this is another use case where you are requiring another region to copy your data. I hope this is clear to everyone. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Venkat, Kali Prasad. Thank you, Nafis. So let me just summarize this part. So what we have here, we have region. Inside the region, we have multiple availability zone. Inside multiple availability zone, we have data centers, multiple data centers. Inside multiple data centers, we have multiple servers. And on these servers, our services are running. We are using the services which are actually running on these servers. So this is the entire relationship. Okay, Satish Reddy. So we have two topics left from global infrastructure, edge location and regional edge cache. Edge location and regional edge cache, which I will be covering tomorrow. And I will be talking about AWS backbone network along with these two, regional edge cache and edge location. So only these two topics are left. Then our global infrastructure will be complete. So tomorrow I will be taking up these two components of my global infrastructure, and then we will be moving on to our next service, which is known as EC2. And tomorrow, no theory or limited theory. I will be trying to show you practical applications of EC2, how you can practically provision the resource. So thank you, all of you, for listening to me patiently. I'm marking the end of my session for today. So see you all tomorrow. Hope whatever I have taught you today is making sense. Bye, everyone. See you all tomorrow. Satish Reddy, you are getting the recordings. You can just refer to Logic Labs YouTube channel. You can get the recordings from there. Bye, everyone. Bye, Farhan. Bye, Kabir, Babita. Yes, Satish Reddy, I'll be just telling them to add you in the WhatsApp. So don't worry.